let you go. Turn around, turn around, turn around again. Laugh at yourself. It's not half as bad as you thought it was. It's not an epic that you live. We can dress it up in red if that's how you want it. But you better get out tonight. We'll still hold you back from the edge. Don't watch this fool. Don't waste your money on another broken renegade.
For what he just typed.
Live. Welcome everybody down to Auto Club Speedway for race number 3 of the Lodgebox series here in Fontana, California. I'm Jacob Bell, league owner of Area iRacing, and joining me in the booth tonight for the first time is Eric Wineland, Cup Series driver for VRA, and tonight he's up in the broadcast booth. Eric, how you doing tonight, man?
Jacob, I'm doing very well. I want to thank you and Harold for having me up here in the booth tonight to get to watch the up-and-coming talent on the Area iRacing League here in the Lodgebox series. I'm pretty excited because these first 2 races these guys have run have been pretty entertaining for the series, and 2 different winners already in 2 weeks. I think that trend continues tonight.
Absolutely, and I'm really looking forward to tonight as well. We have Harold Darner, as always, our producer, who's going to be directing our camera shots for tonight, and we just want to welcome everybody to sunny California and the Auto Club Speedway. It's going to be perfect weather tonight for some racing. The Auto Club Speedway is located just east of Los Angeles on the side of an old steel mill. Wide 2-mile-long D-shaped oval provides both driver and spectator with a great view of the largest attended sporting event in the state. There's a little bit of some track facts here at Auto Club. Also got 14 degrees of banking in the corners, as well as 11 degrees on the front stretch, with 3 degrees on the back straightaway. And Eric kind of touched on it a little bit earlier with the 2 different winners in 2 different weeks. But if you take a look at our playoff picture here going into tonight, obviously a lot can change, and we'll have to keep an eye on who's going to be moving up the standings and who's going to be trying to lock themselves in with a win tonight.
Yeah, I'd say keep your eye on that third place driver in the playoff picture right now. Nicholas Trader went out and won himself the Truck Series race last night at Iowa. Totally different track now tonight, being Auto Club. Still pretty bumpy, but 2-mile D-shape oval versus the 5/8 mile short track at Iowa. Quite the stark contrast, but look for him to try to ride that wave of momentum tonight.
Yeah, Nick Trader with an awesome pass with about 5 to go last night, snagging that win away from Matthew Robinson, and he's already 3rd in the playoff picture heading into tonight. That cutoff line is another thing to really keep your eye on. Garrett Grant only 1 point to the good over Kyle Sieg, so it's already a tight battle between those 2 drivers, and as well as pretty much everybody else throughout the top 20. You see Connor Okresic there in 19th, almost won last week's race at Homestead, and David Weishart is obviously no slouch either. So a ton of competition, and it's going to go down to the wire. Obviously a little early, I think, to start looking at the playoffs, but it's never a bad idea to at least keep your eye on it. So give a big shout out to everybody tuning in on the Twitch channel tonight. I see D-Trade has just subscribed there on the bottom ticker we got going on, so we really appreciate that. It's over 7 minutes left here of practice. Currently we got David Weishart leading the way with an Alan Elwood with a close 2nd place. These guys are running low 41s, high 40s it looks like, so we'll have a lot of differences in speed tonight, I think, kind of scattered throughout our field.
Ooh, massive hit there for Cameron Hearn into the turn 2 wall. Yeah, but if you look at the top of the board there, I mean, the first 2 drivers, we just showed them, they're below the cut. And I mean, yes, we are only the 3rd race of the season here at Auto Club, but only 12 races in the regular season for these guys to try to lock themselves in. So honestly, never too early, Jake, to start looking at that playoff picture. make sure you get yourself in the right place at the right time, because anyone under that top 20 can win. And all they need to do is get themselves just high enough to make themselves qualify.
And those wins are going to be crucial. And, you know, one thing we're already seeing kind of a trend is, you know, different winners each and every week. And with already having 2 different winners, you got to look at somebody like Alan Elwood that you mentioned there. He really had a great run going last week at Homestead, and it was a missed stop when he ran out of fuel coming down pit road, missed his pit box, had to back up, had to tow, and it was just a big old mess there. And then week 1 at Daytona, obviously with the blown motor, really has him down in the hole, and I don't think his points position necessarily reflects the speed in that 49 car.
Yeah, I got the chance to speak with him after that race in the VRA stable, and Alan wasn't all too happy about the mishap that he had. He was kind of beating himself up a little bit, but it's something you don't really expect out of him. Mistakes happen, and I'm sure he'll look to have a pretty good rebound tonight. That speed is already there, as we can see, so definitely looking forward to what he can bring to the track tonight.
I mean, we went caution free last week at Homestead, yeah, and then we'll see if that trend continues here tonight. Obviously, we kind of touched on the streak all throughout the week, the streak of green flag pit stops we had every single race so far among all 4 series. Last night that came to an end with the Northern Capital Truck Series at Iowa. Obviously, Iowa's a hard track nonetheless to get around a green flag pit stops in, but a few cautions kind of scattered throughout the race made that not possible. So we'll look to have to start a new streak tonight with a green flag round of pit stops potentially in this 95 lap race we have coming up.
Just getting the chance to watch these guys in practice. I'm kind of surprised right now with the way the track's trending. Jacob, having run quite a few races here at Auto Club, the line after the changes to track surfaces a couple builds ago really started to migrate toward the top at a place like Auto Club here, but for some reason these guys are still holding a lot of speed at the bottom, and honestly I think that's going to make for something pretty interesting to watch tonight. You might see a lot of guys using the entire width of the track. These 5+ lanes that are available at Auto Club are just so much fun to race on. I'm sure these guys are going to have a great time.
One of the widest racetracks we're going to go to all season, and we'll take a look at our weather here presented by Lottie'sTravelWorld.com for race number 3 tonight. Partly cloudy skies, but the real thing I think we need to touch on is the air temperature. Only 65 degrees with the track temp down to 67. That's one of the coolest track temps we've had all season amongst all 4 series, with the relative humidity sitting there at 92% and some winds coming in from the south. But that track temp being that low, Eric, I think is going to have a huge factor on exactly what you just touched on, the different lines these drivers will be using all night long.
Yeah, the track's going to hold some heat from these guys running on it, so it should widen the groove out. The nice thing for the drivers is that track temperature, like you said, is not too much different, so the track shouldn't undergo too many changes, too big of a change between loose to tight for these guys, since we're racing into the night. Local time here in the sim is 5:20 at the moment. So yeah, these guys shouldn't have too much of a change in the track, so maybe not too much of a change from what they're doing right now in practice either. So a very good time to learn in these 40 minutes that they've had to practice with just 3 remaining.
You saw David Weishart there in the 2. Here's the 22 of Eric Suger. He's another one of those guys who was kind of over and around that playoff bubble, and he's going to need a really strong run to help, try to lock himself in with more and more points as the season goes on. But I wanted to touch on David Weishart, the number 2, for a moment. He is one of the drivers who we did not see last week at Homestead, but he did race week 1 at Daytona with, a similar, his teammates with Samson Motorsports. They had a really great strategy. They were able to get out front, and he had a great finish. But then not showing up last week at Homestead, he's still, around that 20th spot in the points standing. So going into tonight, I think he's going to be a factor to win, but it's going to be a question of staying playoff eligible, I think, for the number 2 car.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I just love these shots that we get to see. There's the classic David Weishart bait right there. Always getting that on the broadcast. But I just love seeing the in-car shots with these guys. Great job from the production team there, just to see how comfortable all these guys sit in their sim rigs. I mean, you got to be comfortable to race these things, even if it is a shorter race, only 95 laps tonight. But regardless, these guys just look so calm, cool, and collected right now. it's a totally different wild animal when you get out there on track, as you may have or may not have seen some serious faces like Alan Elwood here.
Here we go. I was going to touch on the different stances you see too. Weishart looked a lot farther than away from his wheel than necessarily, Alan Elwood looks right now. He looks like he's a little bit close and higher up on the wheel. We saw an in-car cam before with Ryan Honeycutt, who's also racing tonight. Not sure if we have an in-car cam with him or not, but he has a very specific stance in his car as well. And here's Andrew Player we're going to take a look at. He's got the VR working for him.
I can only imagine how cool of an experience it is to race these things in VR, but that sweat, that makes me worry, because even living here in PA, it's still, the temperature of the room rises up when that computer starts putting off a lot of heat. So pretty interesting. Now we get to ride on board with Honeycutt here, that onboard shot that you were talking about. Yeah, he's got quite the different kind of look to it than any of the other guys out here. Reminds me of much like a Mark Martin. He's got his arms real bent right up on the wheel.
Yeah, and he's also kind of hunched over, kind of like how a Newman would be in the cockpit as well. So that was another thing I wanted to touch on there. It seems like every time we jump on board with Honeycutt, he is whipping the wheel back and forth, either trying to save the car or right here getting down on pit road.
Hey, that's something you got to practice all the time leading up to the league races, making sure you can get on pit road. Like you guys mentioned earlier, only one caution for the series after 2 races. I would expect some green flag pit stops tonight and the trend to continue.
Honeycutt is always a good time, because every time we get out, like you said, he gets on Honeycutt, we got him sawing the wheel, or he's got great expressions. He's always either mad or happy about what he's just done. So
yeah, he's one of the best to watch throughout qualifying, because the slower lap you'll see him shaking his head no, and then on his faster lap you'll see him shaking his head yes. So Ryan Honeycutt's a good onboard shot to have in practice. Just now finishing up, and we're going to move over to qualifying. Again, these drivers will have 10 minutes to lay down 2 qualifying laps. They can qualify at any time between those 10 minutes. So that leads me to bring the question over to you, Eric. Are you one of those guys who likes to go out early in the qualifying session, or do you like to wait till the later half of the 10 minutes?
I won't reveal all of my secrets for you, Jacob, but I will tell you that a lot of guys pay attention to when is the prime time to go. And with the track temperature so close to what the ambient is, I think the track's just going to be go when you kind of like. The one dynamic variable that you're going to have to deal with during qualifying is the wind. We said it's 8 miles per hour out of the southwest right now. It is going to shift around on you on that qualifying lap, and if you get one gust in the wrong spot, you can get real tight, you can get real loose and not expect it, especially if you're on the razor's edge of pushing as hard as you can for a qualifying lap. So kind of choosing the right conditions and seeing when it's going to happen is a big thing that the drivers will do as they go out to qualify, as we ride on board here with Ryan Honeycutt.
Believe he is on his first lap, actually, so he must have been one of those guys who came right out the gate as soon as qualifying was open and got on the track as quick as he can, as he's going to be working down to turn 3 and 4. And like Eric mentioned a little bit earlier on in the show tonight, on that white line on the bottom side of both ends of the racetrack, so that's going to be something to keep an eye on. Keeps it off the wall by a good margin and heads down onto the apron, crossing the stripe. I believe he's going to complete lap 1 here, and it's going to be a 41.15 for the number 59. Excuse me, actually 41.13 for the 59 Ryan Honeycutt. It's going to move him into second, with Ricky Springer at the top spot for the moment.
Be interesting to see what the tires hold for these guys, whether the first lap or the second lap is going to be the fast one. Looks like Ryan's going for a second one here, second push lap, see if he can better that 41.13. Springer at the top there, and I starting to think, looking at him, he looks a lot more comfortable here on lap 2, Jacob.
We'll have to see if we get the head nod yes coming to the stripe. It looks like he's actually going to forego his second lap there.
Maybe eat my words.
It's kind of surprised we've seen so many cars already qualify. We got 14 times posted already. Ricky Springer still with the top time for the moment. I was kind of leaning towards qualifying towards the back end of the qualifying session, with the track temp hopefully getting cooler maybe as the sun goes down, even if it's just slightly here or there. I probably would have waited, but we see about half the field already putting up times. You're riding here with the 54 Chris Seidefeiden. He's coming off of turn 4. The Daytona winner in the number 54, we still haven't seen any sponsors on the side of that car. Looks like he's got the Auto Club Speedway logo on the hood for the moment, but another blank race car, but another different color for the 54 in the third straight week because he's working turn 1 and 2.
Giving me Brandon Brown type of vibes. He's out here trying to find some sponsors. Hopefully someone watching out there catches their eye and maybe gets a contact from them as he pulls off there to reset. And now we pick up Chris Bouchard coming off too.
Like Chris got into the wall, Chris Sidefiden, I should say, got into the wall there off of turn 2. He's going to try to reset for another lap. But there you go. You got Chris Bouchard there in the number 28 working the bottom side of the racetrack from Grass Valley, California. So I'm not too keen on my California locations, but I'd imagine that's not too far from Fontana where we're racing tonight. As Chris is going to bring it down to the stripe, I believe, to complete his second lap, and we'll see if he picks up any. He does. He goes to 4th on the charts right now. Just 1/1000th behind Ryan Honeycutt.
It's amazing because it put him 3rd on my timing screen over here to my left that I pull from iRacing. So pretty wild that it was that close between those two drivers. And now we pick up Shane.
The times of 3rd, 4th, and 5th right now, they're all separated by just 1/1000th of a second.
Kieran will come down to the stripe, complete his qualifying lap. It's only a 41.34 for Shane. He's probably not too happy with that one. It puts him P11 right now. He's gonna look like he's gonna go for a second lap here and see if he can improve.
I was gonna mention, it looked like he was actually running higher up on the racetrack that first lap, maybe just trying to build up the speed in that race car and look to improve on his second lap. Now we got Andrew Player in the number 13. The McConey setup shop Ford Mustang as he's rolling out onto the track to start his qualifying lap with the virtual reality headset and everything ready to go. And he's even got the gloves working.
I had mentioned yesterday that I met Andrew with the Roush Performance System, and he's a heck of a left and right turn driver on the road courses. So we look at a player to come back and be like a half of a ringer later in the season.
Well, he's ran really well so far in the Northern Capital Truck Series on Tuesday nights. Haven't quite pieced it together just yet, I don't think, in the Lodgebox Series here on Wednesdays. But obviously, like you mentioned, the road courses, I'm sure, is something he's got circled on his calendar for later in the season.
Get a little sneak preview of something that I'm sure we'll highlight throughout tonight's broadcast. The paint color choice for Andrew Player there, nice and pink for October and Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We got a couple stories we'll tell you guys about during the race tonight as we get a better view of that. Thanks, Harold, for this awesome view of the 13 cars. He works his way into 3.
Running the bottom side of the racetrack as the pre-race meeting is just now beginning with Eli Green, our admin for the night.
I'm really surprised, Jacob, that Springer's time has held up so well throughout the entirety of the session, because there's been a couple fast guys that have gone out and turned their laps here and really haven't gone anywhere. There goes Weishart, as I say that, right to P2 with a 41.08, just 2/100 shy of pole time currently.
I was going to agree with you there, though. That is also surprising to me as well. I would have figured with a lot of these guys already, coming down and waiting for their qualifying run like the 2 of David Weishart, that these guys would start knocking off those times. But looks like that was just the first lap time for David Weishart, so he's going to look to improve here on his second. He only needs about 2/100ths of a second to grab the pole. That's how tight our qualifying field has been.
To the line, we'll see where he goes with his second lap of 41.121. Not gonna do it for Weishart. So first lap looks to be the fastest there, Jacob. I'm kind of surprised. I thought the tires might have a little more in them for these guys once they got warmed up on that first lap.
There's Cameron Hearn, last week's winner from Homestead, in turn 2 here on the outside of the racetrack now as he heads down the back straightaway. A pretty strong performance with Cameron Hearn and Alan Elwood last week as they were working together for much of that race. And then as we documented, the road error on the behalf of Elwood kind of cost him a chance to really compete for the win without, catching a caution all race. So the green flag run to the finish, Cameron Hearn was able to comb the victory. And as he's taking the car back and forth out of turn 4, I don't think that's going to come to the top of the boards. It looks like he's actually going to forego his lap time as well. With a 41.42, that's going to put him outside the top 15.
I think that wiggle was a little more out of frustration from the driver, the number 15 there. one more driver still picking him up here in turn 1, making a lap. Alan Elwood able to rebound after that Homestead debacle he had last week. To ride in car, in sim with him too. And you see a little bit of head lean. That's pretty cool. That's something that a lot of guys do when they race, is get that head lean in. I know I do that myself.
See if he's leaning ahead even more this time, going through turn 3 and 4. You got the Buckeyes on the top of the racing helmet there. You can see it in the mirror as he's working out of turn 4 for his first lap time, and hopefully for Elwood's fans out there, he'll be able to grab the pole, and we'll see as he hits the stripe. It's a 41.11. It's going to put him third by just a 2/1000th of a second again. Man, this qualifying field was a lot tighter than I thought it would be in terms of lap time.
And Springer going out early. Looks like he might hold on. Allen is going for a second lap here. Didn't work for David Weishart earlier, but we'll see right on board with him here. See if he can get it done through 3 and 4. His 1 and 2 looked pretty good. He got down to the bottom where he needed to be. And it looks like down here through 3 and 4, getting to that white line, painting it off of turn 4 like he needs to do. Let's car wind out, keep the speed wound up in it. Gonna cut down to the apron to get as short of a line run to the start finish line as he can. Lap time was slower, 41.18. So still a first lap better for him as well, as consistent with pretty much every other driver we've seen out here tonight.
Absolutely, and all 24 out of our 25 drivers have now taken a time, with Brian Dixon being the lone guy to forgo qualifying. So it looks like, almost call it official here, we got 22 more seconds, but it looks like the front row will be consisted of Ricky Springer in the 51 and David Weishart in the number 2.
Yeah, Dixon is not out on track at all. So yeah, go ahead and hand that pole award to Ricky Springer. I believe it's his first of the season.
Actually, I was just going back to look at that. I think he actually had the pole at Daytona for race 1 of the season. I'm going to go look real quick. And he did. He was the pole winner at Daytona. So this is actually his second pole of the season at 2 very different styles of qualifying.
So great starting spot there for Ricky Springer. And I'm sure he's absolutely happy about that. And
this point as well.
Absolutely. Bonus point. Like we said, never a bad thing to talk about that playoff picture this early. And of course, that all coveted first pit stall on pit road.
Absolutely, and we'll get a chance now to look at our qualifying grid for tonight's 95-lap race at Auto Club Speedway. Ricky Springer is going to be our pole winner, and outside of him is going to be the number 2 of David Weishart.
Row number 3 has Alan Elwood on the inside with Connor Okrazek on the outside.
Connor Okrazek, one of the most difficult names I think I've ever seen in my life. But starting in the 5th spot is going to be Ryan Honeycutt, and outside of him is going to be Chris Bouchard.
Row number 4, Shane Wolf on the inside there. And then the outside in the number 6 machine, Michael Larch.
Rounding out our top 10 starters will be the 64 of Ed Robertson and the number 54 of Chris Seidefeiden.
Rolling off 11th tonight, Garrett Grant in that 5 car. And Nicholas Trader, last night's winner from the Truck Series, starting 12th.
Have to keep an eye on the number 5 of Grant. He's been a little quiet here these past couple of weeks. Rolling off 13th with his first start of the season is going to be the 70 of Alan Balancino, and outside of him is Rafe Slate in the number 8.
15th, we got Shane Theron, the VRA driver. To his outside, Justin Lemke. These guys were pretty close in qualifying, but they're going to look to rebound toward the front.
Field is just now starting to roll. Rolling off in row 9 is going to be Andrew Player, our virtual headset, our VR headset, I should say, driver that we're going to have a chance to ride on board with. And outside of him is going to be Cameron Hearn in the number 15 car.
Row number 10 has Eric Schugart, flanked to his outside by Kyle Sieg.
Out our starting field tonight, Dean Prince in the number 99, Rick Christensen, Kevin Hayes, Dean Gagliano, and then Brian Dixon in the number 33 makes up our 25 starters for tonight's event. So we like to play a little game, Eric, before we get the race started officially. We like to ask, obviously, everybody in the chat to put who their pick to win is tonight, but I got to ask you, who are you taking tonight?
I think Alan Elwood drives with a vengeance tonight, Jacob. It was so uncharacteristic of him at Homestead. He loves the bumpy, sliding, eat up your tire type of racetrack. And sitting there in third is a pretty good starting spot. I think he's going to have some pretty good pace throughout the night. So keep an eye on that number 49 machine, the Toyota Supra, second row inside.
Got Harold.
I think I'm going to go with, I'd probably go with the 14 of Connor. I haven't seen him. He's been close,
Okay.
but that hasn't taken anything to me. But we'll look at that
I'll go.
with him.
Go ahead and take the number 2 of David Weishart starting second there. But starting up front, Ricky Springer is going to take the green flag, and we are underway here at Auto Club. I feel like we might have had a lane change there, Eric. I wasn't quite sure if you caught that or not. With the number 14, I couldn't quite see with the sun if that was before the line or not, but obviously Eli Green, our admin for tonight, will go back and take a look. Up front, though, Ricky Springer is going to jump out to a good lead going into turn 1 and 2, or coming out of turn 1.
Already through turn 2, these guys fan out. Someone drug the wall off of turn 2. I believe it was the 28 there of Bouchard. And that wide Auto Club racetrack going to hold all these cars as they fan out even more through turn 3. Justin Lemke climbing the banking toward the wall. He's the first one to really venture his way all the way out there.
It's lap number 1 in the bonus point for leading the lap to Ricky Springer, so he's already pocketed 2 bonus points tonight. He's going to lead the way over David Weishart, and now Alan Elwood starting to creep up into that battle for the second spot. Top 3 just kind of breaking away a little bit.
There's only a couple guys back here, Jacob, that are really starting to try to run the wall. Lemke in that orange 35 here, right about 14th place right now, is the first one starting to venture his way up. He's got Shane Theorem behind him, and he pulled the 56 of Nicholas Trader last night's winner up to the top with him too. For these guys to see if they can make up some ground early. I still don't know, Jacob, what line's going to be dominant tonight.
I agree with you there, as the admins are still kind of looking through the call on the restart to make sure everything looks good. Right now, fastest lap goes to the 14 of Connor O'Kresick. Ricky Springer, though, showing the way still, and there you see a battle between the 6 of Michael Larch and the 28 of Chris Bouchard. That's just outside the top 5, with the 54 looking 3 wide on the bottom there for a moment. He's actually going to jump back in line onto the high side of the racetrack.
So race control looks like they're going to hand out a penalty off the start of the race. I believe he just said the 14 of Connor O'Kresick might get himself a black flag for a lane change there early on.
And obviously the driver's going to plead his case back to the admin. He said that he missed shift, I believe is what I heard, and trying to see if he could maybe avoid the black flag there.
One of the things we have an absolute benefit of, or an awesome benefit of, is being able to scan all the radios tonight. The drivers always get the chance to talk to each other here in iRacing, like normal. They also have race control that they can communicate with too directly, not even having to go through a spotter or a crew chief to talk to an official. So Eli Green, the official tonight, is going to be taking a look at that as we watch the battle here with the number 6 and 64. Michael Larch trying to defend away from Ed Robertson. And just trailing them is the 8 of Rafi Slate.
Actually, Rafe Slate there in the 8.
Oh, Rafe, my bad.
You're all good. I know it's hard, man. A lot of these names in the Lodgebox series for some reason are very, very difficult. But up front, we actually had a battle and a pass for the lead. Alan Elwood in the 49 is going to take over the top spot. I missed that. I mean, maybe you guys covered it, but I might have missed it.
No, I think you got that to us, but I was going to say about the names, you know, I put this out before, you know, we don't have a media week that sit there and tell us your name and take your pictures and all the other stuff that they get in the big leagues, you know, so we kind of have put a channel together for the drivers to tell us, or at least show us how they would pronounce their names, and we try our best.
We try our best is the best way to put it. And speaking of that, Springer made another move down to the bottom. Thought for a moment there he was going to get back around the 49 of Alan Elwood, but wasn't quite able to make that move work, so we'll have to settle back in line in second place. As really we're starting to get single file for the most part up front. I see James Shainwolf working his way towards the front of the field. Right now, biggest mover so far that I wanted to highlight has got to be that number 8 car of Rafe Slate, who's moved from 14th to 10th. At the 14 of Connor O'Kresick actually now is serving his drive-through penalty. He's on pit road. And we're riding on board with David Weishart now running 3rd. But the 14 with a drive-through penalty, Eric, I think he'll be able to rebound still. Plenty of laps left.
Yeah, not a good thing to dig yourself into a hole early. Fortunate for Connor there, bringing it back forward though. Garrett Grant falling backward pretty quick, down 10 spots from his starting position of 11th. He's kind of nested just behind the battle we're looking at here, as Robertson still tries to work on Larch, and Nicholas Trader working his way up through, using that high line still. Looks like he's gonna be committed to that for the first part of the run tonight.
One of the things I was going to mention, I feel like I say it a lot with Garrett Grant, is he's one of the guys who really has to pace himself with tire wear. We heard it in his post-race interview in the Cups race on Thursday night from Homestead. He says he's not really a good lead car, but when he gets back in traffic and he's able to pace himself, he does a really good job saving his tires and kind of prevails on the long run. We'll have to see if that pays off for him tonight, though. As you mentioned, he's already down outside the top 15, down to 20th. Another one of those guys who's a little bit of a surprise to see so far back is Cameron Hearn in the 15 car, who won last week at Homestead, and right now he's running in the 15th spot after qualifying 18th in the 15. So he's got a lot of ground to make up to catch our leader, Alan Elwood.
Yeah, I think you're seeing a product of just not getting it right in qualifying right there, and traffic being so difficult to pass. Dirty air is not too great to run in, whether you're even in the Cup car, the Xfinity car, whatever it may be. Watching these guys in the Xfinity car tonight, I'm sure that they're not having a great time following each other. A lot of single file looking for the best lane right now, but still a couple guys working the outside as much as they can. That 35, Dustin Lemke, like I said, just will not commit to anywhere else but the top. He's trying to get the rubber down and see if that line will work itself in throughout the night.
He will not quit. I agree. I've seen him going to the top every side of the racetrack, so we'll have to see if that pays off for him. Right now, the 14 of Connor O'Kresick, you see the field barreling down into turn 3 and 4. Or excuse me, is that 1 and 2? Well, here's Connor coming through turn 3 and 4 is what I was trying to say. So he's on the opposite end of the racetrack. I don't think he'll lose a lap, though, with the draft not coming into play too much here. He should be able to hold his position for 26 seconds back. I don't think he'll end up going a lap down with the speed we've seen in that 14 all season long. But nonetheless, a tough black flag here to start the race for the 14. Up front, though, Alan Elwood, Ricky Springer, David Weishart, Chris Seidefeiden, and Ryan Honeycutt. Actually, a battle going on there for fourth between those two drivers. But that, for the moment there, was rounding out our top 5 as we complete lap number 10.
See these guys really starting to migrate into single file running finally, and as I say that, they still widen themselves out. Pretty much every single lane of this track through 1 and 2 is being used. A couple guys at the bottom, a couple guys on the top, and some fine in the middle. Shane Wolf looks like he was hunting for some fresh air on the nose of that number 83. We watched this 54 and 8 of Seidenfaden and Slate going at it here through turn 3. And I think Slate's going to have the advantage here on the bottom. I just haven't seen enough out at the top yet, Jacob, to say that it's the place to be yet.
And I was going to mention, when you look at when these guys get down to the corner, right, you see like 5 different lines between drivers. Some choosing the middle, the top, the bottom. They're all fanned out. And it really provides some entertaining racing that we're going to see later on, especially when the tires start to wear out. But like you mentioned, you picked Alan Elwood. You said he's really good at these tracks where, the tires do wear quickly and you get sliding and whatnot. And he's done a great job so far of taking over that top spot, not really allowing anybody else to catch him right now as he's pulled away to almost a half a second advantage.
We nearly had 4 wide entering turn 1, right around Cameron Hearn, Kyle Sieg. Those guys were all fanned out as we watch them come through 3 and 4 here. There's your leader, Alan Elwood, and then the pack just chasing him from behind, almost 3 wide there, with Lemke and Hearn still climbing himself up through the standings right now, apparently in a battle with the number 39 of Kyle Sieg, trying to rebound from that terrible qualifying as we highlighted earlier.
And when you take a look at these awesome shots we get provided around Auto Club Speedway, you see that sun is kind of setting a little bit. So these guys are going to have probably race right up to about sunset before this track gets completely dark. But it allows us to see a cool like orange haze looking around the track. But there you see on the top side of the track, Ryan Honeycutt in the 59 is one of the only front runners we've really seen venture up to the top side. But he's been battling back and forth with Chris Seidefeiden for about 5 laps now at this point for 4th. Looks like Chris actually fell back to 6th, and Rafe Slate's going to move up to the 5th spot. So the 8 car working the bottom side of the racetrack. He's had a pretty strong start to the season so far for Rafe. He's actually, I believe he's in the top 5 in points. He's 4th in points. And he's had a solid run, top 10 in both races. We've actually had 5 different drivers start the season with the top 10 in both races. Cameron Hearn, Chris Seidefeld, and Nicholas Trader, Rafe Slate, and Ricky Springer. So those guys are looking to keep their top 10 streak alive.
Good thing to highlight there is the lights just turned on the racetrack. And starting to see that surface be illuminated by the lights and less by the sun as it starts to set in the background there. And we watch the 6 and the 56 go at it here for 10th place. Or excuse me, 10th place. Nicholas Trader over Michael Larch.
Nicholas Trader there in the 56, the winner last night in the Truck Series race from Iowa. But he's also the only driver in the Lodgebox Series with a top 5 in both races. So that 56 has been awfully consistent so far to start the season. Kind of weird because you feel like things have settled out, but really these guys are still fanning out all over the racetrack and battling for each and every spot, so it's never really over. Up front though, Ricky Springer has reeled in our race leader Alan Elwood.
Yeah, I've been watching his lap times. He's been about a 10th per lap faster than our leader right now. And slowly close that down. 2/10 back now. I mean, by the trend, you would expect 2 laps to see them side by side and battling it out. But these top 3 kind of have a gap over the rest of the field. 4th through about 18th. You can pretty much say that are all lined up nose to tail. Those top 3 starting to finally break away from the pack just a little bit. Just by about a second between the 2 of David Weishart and the 59 of Ryan Honeycutt.
Gonna say, Springer really brought Weishart with him, it looked like, and now he's gonna look to the bottom of Alan Elwood, and here we see 3 different lanes of the racetrack being used. Weishart for the moment was in the middle, dropped that back down to the bottom where Ricky Springer is, but Alan Elwood up against the wall in turn 1 and 2. Look at the run he gets, and he's able to pull back to the top spot.
It's just a great example of how the high side can bring you a little bit better momentum, even if you lose a little bit through the entry and middle part of the corner. Just being able to carry that extra speed up there around the top can really carry you on straightaways. As long as what we have here at Auto Club, it should really show its hand. It is for Alan Elwood right now.
Expected to see a good run there off of turn 3 and 4. It didn't really happen that time. And then all of a sudden, we see Springer get up top and clear him. But look at the lap times there. When these guys get to battling, you see a 42.9, a 43.1 for Elwood. But behind them, a 42.7 for Rafe Slate, one of the quickest cars in the top 10. And also another quick car in the top 10, Cameron Hearn, with a 42.6, and he's moved up to 8th.
Yeah,
Kind of sneaking his way up, too.
Slate and Hearn, the 2 guys you just highlighted, are the biggest movers right now, plus 10 spots off the start of the race. I think Hearn's got a little more headroom in front of him to capitalize on that what Slate's got. Slate all the way up to 4th, Hearn here in 8th right now. We watch him try to work through this pack. He's got Robertson in his sights. He's also being closely followed by the 83 of Shane Wolf and the 6 of Larch. I don't know that Larch has been single file at all tonight. He's just absolutely battling every single driver that he gets around.
Chris Seidefeld instilled that 54 up against the wall. He looked like he got a strong run that time down the backstretch, but up front, that top 3 still under a blanket, and they've kind of swapped positions around a few times. Now it's the 51 who leads the 49, and there you see a 3-wide battle between the 64, I believe, no, that's the 56 of Nick Trader, and the 83 of James Shanewolf. A lot of black and blue cars out here tonight, but they all look awesome with some nice paint schemes and whatnot, with One Mind to Design there on the 56 car. And obviously James Shanewolf running the 83 for Northern Capital. And speaking of Northern Capital, while we have a little bit of a lull in the moment, not much though, because these 3 are still under a blanket, we would just like to thank Russ and Steve Anderson of Northern Capital for their support of the Northern Capital Truck Series. You guys can catch that series every Tuesday night right here on Aria iRacing. And it's the Northern Capital Truck Series. Big shout out to Steve and Russ Anderson for helping us out and bringing that series to us.
Right here, when these guys finally cross the start-finish line, they'll have completed 20 laps in the race. So far, see Springer finally worked his way past Elwood, but Allen really hasn't fallen off there. He's still battling Weishart, and he's still absolutely taking advantage at the top there. I don't think we're too far away from pit stops, Jacob. I'd say another 10 to 15 laps for these guys. is kind of what we're looking at for a pit stop window. And that would make it about a 2-stop race through the entirety of it if we do see flag to flag coverage here.
You saw the great run that time, propelled Alan Elwood to the bottom side of the racetrack to try to make another move on the 51. And he's almost got him clear. He's going to try to slide up in front of him off of turn 4. And Springer with the crossover now is going to use the apron, it looks like, going down to the front straightaway. It's going to be close at the stripe. Give it to the 49. These top 3 are really racing.
It's a textbook slide job right there from Alan Elwood. I don't know how well the tires will like that, but David Weishart even basically mimicking the move, taking advantage of the fact that Springer was a little off balance there, getting through front stretch and into turn 1, didn't quite get the arc out that he wanted, and David Weishart absolutely taking advantage of it. These 3 still holding about a second, as you can see out the back, over the 59 of Ryan Honeycutt and the 8 of Slate. Absolutely going side by side for these guys back here.
Crazy part about this is we've talked about the different winners we've seen all season long. Everybody in this top 3 right now that's battling for the lead have not won a race yet this season, and it feels like it shouldn't be the case, but it is. Weishart, one of the quickest guys we've seen, along with Alan Elwood, and then not to mention Ricky Springer. He's got 2 poles already in 3 races, but these guys are still looking for their first win. They're fighting hard as Weishart now goes to the point over Alan Elwood. Wanted to touch on the 51, though, of Ricky Springer and that paint scheme he's running. You can get a good look on the hood there. It's a little hard to see from this camera angle, but it says best crew chief ever, love you mom, and he's running the pink colors that Eric was talking about earlier for breast cancer awareness. His mom, obviously, with a battle with breast cancer, she was able to beat it. Ricky let us know a little bit earlier when we were talking to him pre-race, but with his crew chief for every single race that he's raced in real life, and would show up nonstop, even through the treatments, even when she wasn't feeling good, and he wanted to give her a special shout out on that race car tonight. And there you see a great shot of it. So it's a pretty cool gesture there from Ricky Springer, and obviously doing the best for his mother, and happy to hear that she was able to beat it.
I just love the paint scheme. Absolutely so slick looking. And the pink and white accents just add to it there for Ricky Springer. What an awesome story that he was able to share with us pre-race prior to the broadcast, and he seemed very passionate about it, Jacob. I mean, it touches your heart when you hear a story like that, especially someone that's able to beat it. Not a lot of people are able to do that, and that's why things like the Breast Cancer Awareness Month is a thing, and the foundations out there that we can go and support. Absolutely, if you're willing, they always appreciate the help.
And just as I mentioned earlier, our second voice of Aria, Ken Kushwa, his wife Sheila's been battling breast cancer as well, so he's shouted out to a few of the drivers, and a tip of the hat to the guys that are racing in the pink this month.
Love seeing the pink race paint schemes on a lot of these race cars, and we see the 13 as well, another one of those guys. How about that 3-wide move, though, from James Shanewood pulling off turn 2? Those guys are still 3-wide, and they're tightening up off turn 4.
There's been about 3 different 3-wide battles in 3 laps. If you follow my logic there. No, these guys have absolutely been going at it for the last 3 laps, and Shane Wolf just trying to work the bottom. Finally, he's going to have to give way to the 59 of Honeycutt. He was kind of falling through the field a little bit here. He was just running 4th. He's back to 7th at this point and still battling away. But we got some comers and goers finally showing up, and I don't look now, but the driver in 4th has come from an 18th qualifying position or starting position, and he's got his sights set on these top 3.
Actually saw the 99. I thought he was coming down for a pit stop, but he's actually retired from the event. So Dean Prince in the 99 will be credited with a 25th place finish for tonight. But yeah, you touched on it. Cameron Hearn from 18th to be a 2.5 back now from the leader David Weishart is quite the drive, and he's obviously got a lot of power with that Lordstown Motors vehicle as he's worked off of turn 2, the yellow and black's Toyota Supra as he races down the back straightaway right in front of Rafe Slate. That rounds out our top 5 there. But from the 18th to 4th, and then Rafe Slate, to his credit, right behind him from 14th to 5th. Those drivers obviously making a lot of moves early on before we get to this potential first green flag pit stop of the night.
A driver that's finally flipping himself positive from his starting position, Garrett Grant, the 5 back here, just a little bit. He's now working himself through the hornet's nest. He's finally gotten side by side with the 6 of Larch. There again, Larch side by side with another driver. But I think Garrett Grant, what we talked about early in the broadcast there, Jacob, where he is so good on these long runs in an Xfinity car, it's really showing his hand now for him.
I mean, just a few laps, well, maybe about 15 laps ago or so, you could say, we saw Garrett Grant in 20th, and now he's all the way up to 8th. So a lot of comers and goers so far early on in this race. I believe we had a few drivers call that they're going to be pitting next time by, so we'll have to keep an eye on that, obviously. Pit stops will be coming up pretty soon here as we ride on board with Ryan Honeycutt, and we try to see if anybody is able to hit pit road, and when they do decide to come down pit road. Right now, Honeycutt running in the 7th spot in that number 59 car. A solid night once again. He seems to be one of the drivers who we've seen be consistent all season long, and he's up inside the top 10 yet again.
You see the smile on his face there tells me that he should be doing a lot of good right now in his race car, right? That's what we were talking about earlier. He's sitting there talking with his team too, so probably communicating a little bit of strategy here, see what these guys are going to do. Ryan is working the top now, just ahead of the pack of drivers that have really not gotten away from each other tonight. He's actually being pressured there by the 5 of Garrett Grant. Grant going to chase him for that draft.
I was going to say, he followed him down very aggressively to try to get in line. He didn't want to lose any second of that draft as they worked down the front straightaway. Turn 1 and 2 goes to field. We are working lap number 30, so almost a third of the way through tonight's race. Still yet to see anybody come down for a scheduled pit stop yet inside of our top 24. We did have Dean Prince retire from the event, and also Connor O'Kresick served a drive-through penalty at the start of the race. Other than that, though, scheduled pit stops now, as these guys are going to be in, I think, in the next handful of laps or so, maybe even less than that. I don't think they can go too many more laps on fuel.
It'll be interesting to see how they want to run the strategy, because they're already over a second and a half off pace looking at lap times. Your leader, his best lap 41.43. His last lap, and when he just crossed the line there, 43.07. Weishard now ahead of Alan Elwood, and Cameron Hearn still stalking Ricky Springer there in 3rd and 4th. So I would not say, Jacob, that we are too far away from pit stops.
At the
In
22.
fact, here comes Ryan Honeycutt this time.
22 is already on pit road. That's, you see him on your screen there. That's Eric Suger. Ryan Honeycutt, I believe, also made the call, as Eric documented there. He's going to pull to the bottom side of the racetrack. He's got a whole pack of cars coming by him on the top. But yeah, here comes the 59. He's not alone by any means. He's got the 83 is in with him, as well as the 49 of Alan Elwood and the 54 of Chris Seidefeiden. So 4 drivers on pit road.
Be interesting to see if Shugart, the 22 there, was first to pit road, if he can take advantage of any sort of undercut that might be available out here. Like I said, about a second and a half off of lap times, so he's choosing to get on the fresh tires a little bit early. Completed 31 laps so far. Working lap 32 are the leaders. Ryan getting his little break in there while he's waiting for service to be completed on that number 59 Ford Mustang.
And here we go. I think we got some more people coming down now. Up front, it's our leader, Ricky Springer, in the 51. He's going to be followed in by Rafe Slate, Kyle Sieg, the 28 of Chris Bouchard, and also the 13 of Andrew Players. So now a second packet in pit road for their first stop of the night.
And wouldn't you know it, the fastest car on track last lap was the 5 of Garrett Grant on those old tires. This kid is just absolutely incredible on the long runs, and he's really taking advantage of it at this point. And at this rate, he will find himself in the lead toward the end of this race.
Here comes our new race leader now. Well, actually, correction, it's David Weiser. He's going to stay out on track. You see the 49 right in front of him. That's Alan Elwood, who just came off of pit road, so we'll get a good chance to see the speed difference. But behind him, Cameron Hearn in the 15. He's making his pit stop. Looks like he's got a few coming with him in the form of Garrett Grant and Nick Trader. And it looks like there's another car back there. I believe that's the 33 of Brian Dixon, if I'm not mistaken. So those guys are coming in now for their scheduled stop. Up front, though, David Weishart continues to show the way. Cars that have yet to make their first pit stop of the night include, obviously, the 64 of Ed Robertson. Pretty much everybody you see there in the top 8 spots, I believe, have yet to hit pit road.
I think after this pit stop cycle, Alan Elwood will be your leader there, so you're not too far away from having that initial statement there correct. Here comes Weishart finally to pit road, maximizing everything he can. Who's that behind him? Ed Robertson, I believe, in the 64, getting all he can get getting onto pit road. Pretty nice entry from the 64. Let's see if he can capitalize getting off of pit road and improve his position. We pick up the 70 car here of Alan Pacino, and he's the only driver still out here on scratch that. He also has Kevin as well out here on the old tires, the only two yet to pit.
I would assume that these guys are just staying out to get that bonus point for a lap led, and then they're going to be hitting pit road. So the 70 is probably coming in this time, as well as the 3 of Kevin Hayes as they're working through turn 4, and he's going to work his way down onto pit road. We see the 56 coming in behind him. I believe that would tell us that the 56 probably had a speeding penalty, and maybe we see why.
Yeah, and if we're able to do so, oh, here comes the 3, Kevin finally coming down pit road as well. The 8 and the 28 just traded paint going down the front stretch over here. Now they're working their way through turn 2. Oh, contact! There goes the 28. And Slate is going to get a hold of Christopher Bouchard and send him around, and the yellow flies on the racetrack.
It was a close call, and then it turned into a legitimate call there. So nice job there, Eric. You spotted that before it even happened. We're going to get a replay here, but you mentioned it. You were on top of it. It was the 8 of Rafe Slate and the 28 of Chris Bouchard. Obviously, there was some contact working through turn 2, and I think some contact that led up to that Eric was talking about. Like, potentially, he got a little loose underneath the 28 and turned up into him, and then the 28 pretty much along for the ride from there. Another look at it there. You see the 8. Definitely looked like the car got away from him a little bit. Sent him right up into the 28's left rear.
My apologies. I figured out my push to talk does not work. Looking at a certain scoring app that I have enabled on the computer. Yeah, that once you get that left rear contact, it's hard to keep control of it with such little downforce in the Xfinity car. Christopher Bouchard there in the 28, excuse me, was just kind of along for the ride. And he actually had great car control there to make sure he didn't really collect anyone else in the field. Didn't fully spin out there till very late. But at that point, the yellow had already flown on the speedway. Most of the guys were able to know where the incident was and slow down. So caution right here, flying right at the tail end of the cycle. Green flag stops. But I'd say a real winner is Alan Balacino. He gained a lot of track position out of that.
Absolutely. And I was going to question that as we see a few cars that were involved in the incident coming in, those being the 28, obviously, and the 8. Looks like possibly some damage there on both the right and the left side of the 28 car. So he's going to have to try to get that fixed and repaired as his team's working on that for the moment. Obviously, these guys were just on pit road a handful of laps ago, so they're not going to be coming in, I'm sure, and taking tires. They're going to try to save that set. Speaking of the timeliness of that caution, we actually have 3 cars that are trapped a lap down. It's going to be the 22 of Eric Suger, the number 83 as well of Rafe Slate, or excuse me, of James Shanewolf, and then the 56 of Nick Trader, who we saw come back down pit road, I believe, for a pit road penalty. Scratch that. It looks like the 22 of Eric Sugart, you see him coming around now, actually got the free pass. That'll still trap James Shanewolf and Nick Trader 1 lap down. Who this caution was a big break for is the 14 of Connor O'Kresick, one of the drivers we saw with a drive-through penalty to start the race. Way mired back, over 20 seconds behind the lead pack, and that caution's going to bring him right back up to the field now.
And we'll get to see how Connor stacks up against the rest of the field now, being in the pack, provided that the restart for him goes nice and smooth. We'll see if any of these guys choose to take advantage of pit road being open. I don't think so after such a short time from their green flag stop. So we got a couple takers there. It looks like they're led by the 83 of James Shanewolf.
These are the lap cars now that are coming down, but the pace car lights are out actually for the leaders.
One of the nice things that iRacing implemented a couple of builds ago was the fact that any track 2 miles or longer, they were able to decide to have a shorter caution period, as we see some weirdness going on here.
I'm trying to listen in. I'll be right back.
Looks like we got some weirdness going on with the restart here. I think where the caution fell is probably going to be playing a huge factor here, Harold. It's not unheard of on iRacing to see
Yeah,
this
the
sort
lights
of
are
thing.
back on by the admin, but they're going to extend it by a lap just to get this guy set up. Like you said, at this point, we should have been double file, which is what you were probably hitting at there.
Yeah, well, having done quite a few official races, I've almost seen it all. I will say, but seeing something weird like this isn't totally wild when a caution flies like it did there through green flag pit stops. I mean, the leader, technically, Alan Balacino, was on pit road at the time, so the pace car probably didn't know who he was picking up till Alan ended up behind him. And since then, it kind of messed up the automated scoring system a little bit here. But listening to the scanner and race control, they're getting things sorted out right now. They should be doubling up whenever the lights on the pace car go out here at the line.
Yeah, but this was a good thing. I mean, we have you in the race control for, I believe, the truck and the ARCA series, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I get a taste of that all the time here. Well, while we have the few short moments, I want to thank Swift Lifestyles. Fans, be sure to visit Swift Lifestyles for clean supplements that help improve your focus while gaming. Use discount code ARIA iRacing for 15% off your entire order. We'd like to thank Swift Lifestyles for their support of the Swift Lifestyles Pro Series. Catch that one every Monday night, the ARCA series, right, Harold? Get to see the new guys going out here and seeing if they can work their way up the ranks of the REI Racing League.
Now they're
ladder.
being told, I guess, to go too wide because they were holding that single wide. Now they're on the backstretch. Yeah, Swift Lifestyles is our ARCA series where basically if you're an iRacer, it would be the 2.8 and under guys. So pretty new or I ratings not quite up in the high digits, but a car that's pretty decent and could be a handful in some of the tracks we've chosen for this season.
I am back. I had to jump in with the admin real quick, try to figure out what was going on. For whatever reason, there's some bug going on right now where it's telling everybody to line up in the inside lane, even though it was registering as a double file restart. It was interesting.
I have seen it before. Actually, Jacob was just highlighting it for our viewers out there that iRacing wanted to pick up Alan Balacino while he was on pit road on the yellow flu, but it was not able to because Alan Elwood ended up being the leader, and it is able to cause some wacky scoring moments. As we go back green, Alan Elwood leading us to the green flag, flanked to his outside by Ricky Springer.
There you see a bunch of black flags being cleared at once because everybody had to get double filed up, but here we go, back down into turn 2. No penalties, and we're back underway.
And finishing it up for you there, Harold, I want to say a huge shout out to Matthew Robinson, already 2 wins in that ARCA series here in the REI Racing ladder. And he's already been tearing it up down there. Look for good things coming forward from Matthew Robinson as he progresses up through the ladder, works his way to the truck series moving forward.
Yeah, basically, he did a really good job last night in the truck series, almost backing up his win at Iowa. In the ARCA series, just a few laps short, allowing Nicholas Trader to, about 6 laps to go. Trader was able to take over the top spot and finish out the trucks in the first position, but the Porty held on to second. So he's doing pretty good in both of those two series. So we're seeing him moving up quite a bit.
Moving up quite a bit. How about this 15 from 18th now working his way up to the second spot around the 51 of Ricky Springer. Really tight on the door there. Those guys almost made contact working through turn 4. Clear the 15 though to the second spot, and now he's going to try to bring along David Weishart on the outside with him with a good run off of turn 4 as they head down into turn 1 and 2. Alan Elwood though still showing the way right now.
Something that the Go Slow Racing and the Samson Motorsport guys do not want to see is the fact that 2 VRA drivers have worked their way out front. Not only do we have a driver's points battle that we highlighted for you with the playoff picture, but there is a team bonus out there too, right, Jacob? That VRA, Go Slow Racing, and Samson Motorsports are all going for throughout the season.
Absolutely. And you see them all kind of sprinkled in. That was one of the things I wanted to talk about as well. Up front, you see the 2 VRA guys first and second, and then you got Kyle Sieg right now for the moment running in the 5th spot. He is a Go Slow Racing driver, but he's leading the way right now for that team, as well as, I believe, the 83. I'm trying to find the next Samson driver. Oh, it's the 64 right behind him, of Ed Robertson. who's actually now working by the 39. That's one of the Samson drivers. So those guys are leading the banner for their team for the moment as they work there off of turn 2. That was really close. I thought we almost saw some contact there. But yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. They don't want to see two VRA guys running first and second. They want to get themselves up there in the mix. And it looks like the 64 and the 39 plan on doing just that.
And I will tell you, don't worry, that's the only shameless plug I'm going to get in for the team that I happen to drive for in the Cup Series tonight for you. Contact here on the front stretch behind, just out of our picture there at the top. The 6 and the 14 came together there on the front stretch. Connor Okrzek trying to work his way forward, has the highest average finish here in the Lodgebox series, and he's trying to show why as he works his way back up through after getting that early drive-through penalty for changing lanes on the initial start.
It's not impossible, right? We just saw a few guys do it on that first green flag run, the 15, Cameron Hearn being one of them, and the 8 of Rafe Slate, coming from outside the top 15 up inside the top 5. But Connor here, Okrzek working through turn 4, he's still got a long way to go before he gets inside that top 5. Running the 12th spot for the moment, and obviously he's working out in the back bumper of Rick Christensen. Another solid night for Rick, man. He does a great job keeping that thing clean and trying to stay consistent each and every night. Qualifies really well most of the time in the 19, and he's running just outside the top 10. But it's so far, so good for Rick Christensen. And look at the 6, Michael Larch. He's not letting the 14 get away from him yet.
Oh, more contact. The 6 is going to put the 14 in the wall, and we got a massive parking lot on the backstretch.
It's a big one. That's the biggest wreck we've seen almost all year in the Lodgebox series.
And just like that, as we go to the One to Go replay here, One to Go Studios providing these great pictures out here tonight. We get to watch this replay and see the events unfold. These guys already made contact about 2 laps ago on the front stretch. We'll see them work through here. And I think the 14 just kind of got ridden up the track by the 6. Yeah, contact made, and the 6 just can't turn at that point and sends the 14 into the wall. Justin Lemke in the 35. What a hit to his night.
The 3 as well there, spinning down to the bottom. That's Kevin Hayes. Break for a lot of these guys, man. That's not what they were looking forward to. Obviously, the cleanest series we've had all season in all 4 of our series, and one caution coming into the night, and now we see our second one for the race.
Getting another good look at it throughout the front stretch here in the turn 1. I'm surprised because the 14 was actually looking to make a move on the 19 there, and I don't know if he just lost the nose sitting behind the 19 or if the 19 kind of backed him up, but what a run for the 6. Just couldn't hold it on the bottom there, and they make contact.
That's a tough deal. Obviously, frustrating race for Connor Okrzek. He had the black flag earlier, came from the rear, got the caution that kind of was going to help bail him out, and then contact there. And we see up front, oh man, the pit cycle we're seeing right now. Half the field stayed out and half the field came in. They were kind of faking each other out. You see Weishart and Springer right there staying out, but now Elwood, Cameron Hearn, and others coming down. So we got a split field when it comes to this pit stop here.
A lot of guys choosing to take tires. Looks like when it all cycles out, 8 drivers will have stayed out. Weishart, Springer, Sieg, Robertson, Balacino, Grant, Christensen, and Slate all choosing to save that set of tires that they, or potentially a late race caution if we get one down the line. Elwood leading a lot of guys down, mainly a lot of guys running outside the top 10 choosing to pit. But Alan Elwood, Cameron Hearn choosing to take those tires right now, working lap 47, right about at the halfway point.
Do you like the idea of splitting the field, especially if you're outside the top 10, like you mentioned there? Definitely come down and take the tires because you have the most to gain, right? But if you're somebody up front like Alan Elwood there, kind of getting faked in and out of pit road, maybe it was his plan to pit all along, but it's going to cost him a lot of track position now as he's going to come out. Actually, he's only going to come out 9th, so not too worse for wear. So 8 cars stayed out on the racetrack, I believe, all the way from David Weishart back to Rafe Slate.
Oh, yeah. Something I love to do as a driver is always be that contrarian, right? I really liked what a couple years ago when Paul Wolf was crew chiefing Brad Keselowski in the Cup Series, how contrarian they were. Always doing something different just to see if it can work out, put them on a different strategy. And quite a few times it did, quite a few times it didn't. But it would be interesting to see these guys taking tires. I mean, they're going to be mired back right at that 10th and on back spot. Whether the tire difference these guys, or the tire advantage that they have over these front 8 is really going to matter.
You see our race recap presented by Elwood Designs, and David Weishart, currently our leader. He's actually led 13 laps already, so he's working his way for that extra bonus point, hopefully. 2 cautions, which is our most for the series as well as just this race alone. We only had 1 caution coming in tonight. We got 2 in this race alone. 25 drivers started the race, and the quickest lap was set by Connor Okresic, who we just saw in that last caution that we had and that we're currently under, as these guys are getting actually set to restart. It's going to be David Weishart and Ricky Springer on the front row.
See what Springer has there on the top for Weishart. He hasn't had the greatest of restarts on the top, and with that control car on the bottom, just gets that little bit extra advantage here in iRacing. And Weishart's been playing the restart game pretty well so far, so we'll see how he can capitalize. He's got Sieg lined up behind him, and then also the 70 of Balancino making his debut in the REI iRacing series.
I was going to say, it's the first time all night. I was going to say, it's the first time all night we've seen Kyle Sieg and the 70 of Alan Balancino inside the top 5, so it'll be interesting to see what they do. These guys are working through turn 3 and 4 and about to get their restart. I was going to say, it's probably a big sigh of relief there for our head admin, Eli Green, that these guys were actually able to get lined up correctly this time and not have to deal with that iRacing glitch as they come out of turn 4 here. Flagman's got the green flag in the air. The pace car is in. Weishart's leading them down. And he's waiting. Green flag is back out here at Auto Club. We're halfway through tonight's event.
A little bit of an accordion effect back through the field we saw there on the restart, but meanwhile, Weishart getting propelled out to a pretty healthy lead already, up 3 car lengths there over the 51 of Springer, and Kyle Sieg going side by side with him as we get a good look of Sim Speed Shop number 2 Camaro of David Weishart.
We're going to take you through the field here real quick as we're working through our halfway point of tonight's race. Fans, be sure to visit our sponsor, Swift Lifestyles, for clean supplements that help improve your focus and gaming. You see the Swift Lifestyle sticker on the side of these race cars. You can use code AREA iRacing, that's AREA iRacing, for 15% off your entire order. We would like to thank Swift Lifestyles for their support of the Swift Lifestyle Pro Series, and you can catch that every Monday night right here on this Twitch channel. Our race leader, David Weishart, he's led 15 laps now in tonight's event after qualifying second. Able to get to the lead, and we saw a good pack of 3 cars up front, and he was one of the guys in the mix, and now he's kind of setting sail on the rest of the field. And speaking of the rest of the field, right behind him, the 51 of Ricky Springer had an awesome start to the event. He qualified on the pole, and he's been able to kind of hold himself inside that top 3 for much of tonight, and he's led 7 laps from Donahue, I don't even know how to say that, McDonough, Georgia, in the 51 car. Ricky Springer, though, nonetheless, a great night so far for him as he's running inside the top 2.
Oh, we got contact in the back. The 70 of Balancino had contact with the 49 of Alan Elwood, and they both have trouble as we look at Kyle Sieg here running 3rd in the Go Slow Racing Driver.
You see Elwood, we'll have to see if we can get a look at what happened there. Caution, though, between that. I think it also involved the 70 potentially of Alan Balancino.
Get a look here at the 1 to go replay. Down the front stretch here. I don't really understand what may have been the issue there. We might be picking this up live, actually.
Live, or was it a lap early? A lap early. Yeah, this is a lap earlier, so it's going to be when they get back around to the front straightaway here. Saw them all racing really hard. I know it involved the 49 for sure. I believe the 70, which is that purple car you see there on the bottom. I believe he was the other one that was involved there. He backed it up, it looks like a lap again.
So we might see some net code. Nope, it's got to be a next lap after that. We'll get that replay worked on for you guys. We'll follow along here to see how it kind of built there. The 5 was working the top with Hearn and Elwood behind him, and Balancino trying to hang on the bottom there. Behind, I think that's the 8 of Slate on screen there. I believe he was the other one involved in the incident.
See, they were working through turn 3 and 4. Got the 8 there on the bottom, the 49 up top, and there they went 3 wide around Garrett Grant, and just contact there between the 8 and the 49.
Also, Balancino didn't even get a piece of it.
He just went through the grass, it looked like, yeah.
Yeah, evasive through the grass.
Worse for wear is the 49 of Alan Elwood. Again now, for the 3rd straight week, we've seen him being one of the top cars to beat. just some form of issue, whether it's on track or on pit road, has cost him another good night. It's going to be another terrible finish probably for the 49 unless he's able to rebound here. We got a lot of racing left for 42 laps to go now, I believe, if my math is correct on that. So a lot can happen between now and the finish, but 49 looks like got a good chunk of damage on that race car. But up front, look at Cameron Hearn now reeling in David Weishart.
Yep, we pick up Cameron Hearn here in second place. The Lordstown Motors Toyota Supra tracking down Weishart in that Sim Speed Shop Camaro. Looks like Hearn's going to utilize maybe outside a little bit here on Weishart. Get a good look at that side of that number 15. He's all over the back bumper of the two. He's just going to hang a left right here, and there he goes. Going for the lead here on lap 54.
Looks like he's going to be able to clear the two of David Weishart coming down at the turn 1 and 2. Move the 15 for the first time tonight now to the lead with 41 laps of racing left. Hopefully for the rest of these guys, they're going to be able to contend with him. It's got a long way to go.
Still get to watch Hearn here just start to edge out over Weishart a little bit. That makes the field be in a little bit of trouble. I think Jacob Cameron Hearn showing his pace on a 1.5 miles at Homestead last week. Looks like he's trying to stretch his legs again here at Auto Club. Another track very similar, worn out, bumpy, and definitely does a number on the tires over the course of a run.
Gonna mention one of the guys we haven't talked about, it feels like, all night long, is creeping his way into the top 5, and that's the 38 car of Shane Thieren. He's now working on the inside of the 51, it looks like there, Ricky Springer. Haven't mentioned him all night. He's been quiet, but you know, on a track like Auto Club where a lot can go wrong in a hurry, which we just saw that with Alan Elwood, that might be a good thing. So he's kept the car clean. Now he's worked his way officially into the top 5 as he gets around Ricky Springer there. So obviously, you mentioned it earlier, you didn't want to plug VRA again, so I'll do it for you. We saw the 49's issues that kind of knocked him out of the top 5. Well, here comes the third VRA car of Shane Thieren to kind of help pick up that end of the stick, it looks like, as he's now working his way towards the front of the field. You got a car on pit road.
56 of Nicholas Trader. I believe he's just repairing damage from the incident that he had with that guy right there, Connor Okrzek. In the 14 a couple laps ago. These guys haven't fully given up yet, but they are 10 and 12 laps down off track getting damage repaired. Probably won't see them the rest of the night, maybe, unless they try to gain one spot over the other. Dustin Lemke also coming to pit road, now 3 laps down, 4 laps, looking like he has retired for the evening. Back up front here, Cameron Hearn.
I say all those drivers you just mentioned, though, were involved in that crash 12 laps ago with the 14. So obviously not a great start for the night for them, but see the 14 there, Connor Okrzek actually just now leaving pit road. So it looks like the required repairs are done on that machine, and he's going to try to salvage some points out of tonight. Nicholas Trader, man, we talked about it earlier, the only driver with 2 top 5s in the series coming into tonight. Looks like that streak will end at 2, and he will not be able to make up that 12 lap difference, I don't think, and be able to rebound, but still has got the win from last night to hang his head over, so I think he'll be just fine.
Oh yeah, he's still sitting pretty. He was third coming in the points playoff picture there for the Lodgebox series. So if you're gonna have a bad race, have it early. Give yourself as much time as you need to get recovered from it. Back up front here, we pick up the the 13 of Player, and the 64 still continuing to work the outside. He tries to get around the 83 of James Shainwolf.
Picking up the 6 here because he is way off pace.
I believe, I don't know if we'll be able to get this on the 1 to go replay. He just had an incident with the 14. I think
yeah.
Connor Okrzek decided to get his revenge in the same race here. You see the back bumper clip totally torn off the 14 there. We'll go to the 1 to go replay and watch here. 14 falling back through the field, and yeah, Trader's not too, or excuse me, Michael Larch is not too far in the background here.
That's it's gonna be interesting when we get to see a look at what happened here. I'll let you kind of walk us through it, Eric.
So this is a classic case of a driver upset that an incident happened. And yeah, Connor was just none too happy with Larch. The rest of these guys have to be aware of this and have to avoid the issue. And it looks like Connor just throws the binders on in front of Larch and really messes him up. Oh, he drags him into the wall, and that's going to earn himself a penalty from race control. Most likely, we'll see how Eli Green race control views that. But Connor showing his frustration there with Michael Larch. I'm sure there'll be some discussions even post-race between these two, and see how they carry it throughout the season. Tempers flaring early in the season, Jacob, is never a great thing. It provides that ever so good entertainment and rivalry to watch throughout the season.
That's I mean, it's not something you want to see as a part of the league and wanting the league to do well, but I mean, at the same time, the passion, that shines through at some points like that. So you're going to be frustrated with things that happen on track. To try to keep a cool head over certain things, and sometimes it just gets better you.
Race control handing down disqualification for the 14. He's going to say no more tonight. And so Connor actually making maybe a little bit of a mistake there, because he was only 4 laps from being able to at least gain one more point. We don't know how much those points are going to matter, depending on if he can win throughout the season. But right now they matter, and he's going to miss out on one there due to the disqualification.
The first disqualification we've seen all season.
Oh, it was bound to happen sooner or later, right, Jake?
It can't be perfect throughout every race. I get it. That we've been really lucky so far to see the racing we've had, and obviously it's not always going to go to plan, and things happen. So I completely understand the frustration, but sometimes you just can't have things like that going on.
We're averaging 30-plus drivers in every one of the series. I think the Cup Series was our lowest count, but the racing has been tight. It's been hard, and rivals will be made. Allies will as also, but race control, hats off to them like always. The race controllers are the guys that'll keep the leagues where the drivers know what the rules are, and they'll come back because they know that they have to follow a set of rules that's clear and cut, and they know what's expected of them, and then they'll race to win.
Harold, we haven't heard too much from you tonight, so I'll give you this question here. Who have you been watching now that we're already well past halfway? I know you're keeping your eye on a couple guys out there tonight.
Well, I've been seeing Cameron Hearn for over a year now with all the coverage I've covered Cameron in another series, and I'm just surprised in how he always finds a way to get the car up front. But, Seidenfaden's up there as well, and Mr. Honeycutt, if he can keep the car underneath him, he's the top 3. So probably the 59 right now is the one that's impressing me the most.
Yeah, Honeycutt having himself a great night. One of the only Fords out here in the field. I think 4 of them took the green flag. 5 of them, took the green flag. A lot of Chevys and Toyotas. Everyone, the nice thing with iRacing is you get your choice, or you can run them all if you'd like. You're on iRacing, and it's pretty cool. You get to pick what you like and stick with it. You don't need to own them all. Be able to come out here and have a good time. Make sure you check out iRacing and see if you can join in on this area iRacing action here on the area iRacing channel, Monday through Thursday.
And if I'm not mistaken, right now we're filling up pretty quickly on the Arcus series. From my understanding, the only series that has closed registration is the Truck Series. But if you're looking at finding a good place to run, where we have race control, good admins, and a lot of tight racing, then you can check out ariairacing.com and try to register up through there, get a hold of Jake and the guys, and get your car out here.
Absolutely. Now, I want to highlight something here, coming back to the racing action, guys, is a couple of guys that stayed out under that last yellow are not too far from pit stops at this point. Their current stint is about 32 laps since they were able to take fuel last, and they're inside that now at looking at about 29 to go, coming to 28 to go, so they can make it on fuel. It's just a matter of when you make the stop. And it looks like we already got the first driver deciding to commit to it was David Weishart in the 2. He's on pit road. And here comes the 64 of Ed Robertson to come down pit road, as well as a lot of guys in front of him. There goes Springer is sideways, getting down off the banking, coming to the line.
I don't think I've seen 4 cars nose to tail like that all hit pit road at the same time outside of a plate track like Daytona or Talladega. Those guys probably a little sketchy being inside the race car and seeing all of a sudden everybody in front of you hanging a left real quickly to try to get on pit road as quick as they can. But yeah, the strategy is about to get serious. Front, it's Cameron Hearn with Chris Seidefeiden just over 2 seconds behind him. But I think these guys, by trying to short pit, might be able to offset a lot of that difference.
Jacob, I think it'll come down to what these guys that pitted under the last yellow decide to do with their final stop. It looks like the fuel window kind of got them somewhere between 30 to 40 laps, doing a wide estimate there, depending on how hard they run themselves. And the last time these guys that did pit within the top, I think the top 6, all pitted under the last yellow. Looking at it, 22 laps now on their stint, so a little past halfway through their fuel window. They're still going to have to pit. But it'll be interesting to see if these guys open up a 2-tire or even a fuel-only strategy to the checkered flag.
Did they come off a pit road? I don't think we'll see the drastic difference in tires that we saw that first green flag run in terms of speed, right, Eric?
You shouldn't see quite as much. It still looks like it's about 1.5 seconds of fall off at the moment for the leaders off their best times that they turned a little earlier on in the night. But kind of the concerning thing is here, you got almost half the field a lap down now, trapped a lap down. David Weishart, who pitted there from second place, is the first car 1 lap down, trying to chase down Cameron Hearn. He's not too far from it, about, I'd say, a couple seconds back of the leader.
You mentioned it earlier, and I agreed with you 100%. It's always nice to kind of offset the leader. Whatever he's doing, I want to do the opposite. And I think that's what we saw when these guys realized, hey, look, man, that 15 just got back out up front. Let's do something to try to beat him this week. And I think that's why we saw those handful of guys hit pit road and try to do an opposite strategy. Now, if you're in Cameron Hearn's position, you put the shoe on the other foot, what does he need to do? In terms of strategy there, what's the 15? What does he need to do to try to defend his position away from these guys? Does he need to come down sooner, or does he need to follow through and pit later on in the run like he was planning to initially? I mean, what's his best course of action?
Apologies, I got caught on that timing screen again, trying to check some session events.
I figured so, but
it's going to be an interesting call. These guys that pitted just now, of course, 4 tires full of fuel to get themselves to the end. So they're going to start burning.
15.
They're going to start burning through it. And yeah, Cameron looked like he said that's enough. He's going to decide to come on down. He's basically splitting his run from when he last pitted in half. 25 laps completed, 24 to go right there as they cross the line. So he's going to split it right down the middle and decide to take the tires now and have 24 laps of green flag racing on this last set.
I was going to mention, he waited right till the 2 of David Weishart got to him to unlap him, potentially trying to see maybe if he could catch a lucky yellow and trap those guys a lap down. But once the 2 got around him, he waved the white flag and he said, all right, I'm coming to pit road now. And I'm going to be curious to see where he stacks up with David Weishart. But we still got a lot of guys out front who have yet to come down and make that final pit stop.
I actually want to watch Cameron Hearn coming off of pit road here. I'm trying to flip my sim over to see him. We saw Alan Elwood from the top 3, and he was able to stay on the lead lap through that first green flag cycle. We see there goes the leader, or the
potential
leader, David Weishart, first guy that's already made a stop and good to the end. And Cameron Hearn going to get out about 2 to 3 seconds behind him, but with about 5 to 6 laps fresher tires. We'll see if that tire advantage is able to play off for Cameron Hearn.
I think if you're in David Weishart's position right now, I think if you're in David Weishart's spot, you would have wished to see a bigger margin there, right, than what it looks like, because you mentioned it only 2 or 3 seconds, or maybe a little bit more than that. But see, as they cross the stripe, yeah, actually under 2 seconds now, Cameron Hearn is away from David Weishart. With the fresher tires, I don't think that gap will be too much for Cameron Hearn to overcome, but it's gonna, it depends on how much the 2 has been able to save his tires since he's been out there. It'll come down to a battle, and not to mention, these guys aren't technically even the leaders. We still got Chris Seidefeiden in that white car there, the Toyota Supra you see in the middle of your screen. He is our current leader. He has yet to make his final pit stop along with Andrew Player, Alan Valancino. We see James Shanewolf now has came in the 83 car. Those guys are just now on the racetrack, still waiting to make their final pit stop of the night.
Shane
The
Wolf
rest of
just
the guys
came
out
in.
here. Oh, go ahead.
Shane Wolf just came in for his stint, but I'm wondering who's going to roll the dice and try to run this thing out.
That's what I was getting ready to highlight. That's what I was getting ready to highlight, Harold. I think all of these guys that are still left out here as Alan Ballacchino in the 70 makes his stop. So the top 5, excluding Alan in the 70, are basically at the point where they need to hope for a caution to try to flip their track position for them. If they can get it far enough into the stints of these guys that have pitted, someone like maybe Rick Christensen, who has 10 laps on his tires already at this point, might even consider pitting that last time. I think they have 3 sets sitting in the pits. A lot of these guys have only made 2 stops. Cameron Hearn, the first 2, have made 3 tonight. And so I'm still a set of tires sitting in the pits for even the guys that have just pitted. And guys staying outside and Vaughn Player, Elwood, all just hoping for that yellow to be able to flip their track position. And for someone like Alan Elwood, who has quite a bit of damage on the right side of his car, just keep him in the race.
Is there a chance we see anybody try to stretch it, or no, that's not happening?
Absolutely not. Seidenfaden, right now, your leader, is coming to complete his 30th lap since he made his last stop, and he's got 20 to go. It's 50 laps. I said the top end, if you're really saving, is 40 laps, so I don't expect someone to save 10 laps in there. We will see all 3 of these top 3 on pit road before the race ends. Continue to watch Seidenfaden, who has a 5-second lead over Andrew Player. And then here's the battle for the effective race lead. Cameron Hearn, when he came off of pit road, clocked it at 1.7 seconds. The difference between the two, it is down to half a second here between these guys, about 6 car lengths separating them. Cameron Hearn's consistently 2-3 tenths a lap faster than David Weishart. 5 laps tire difference, Jacob. Looks like it actually is paying dividends for that 15 car.
I would have to agree with that. You'd wish, like I said, for David Weishart, you just wish that margin was a lot bigger when the 15 decided to make his pit stop. If he would have came out, maybe 5, 6, 7 seconds behind, then I think this could be a different story. But only that 2-second, actually less than 2-second gap didn't seem to be enough. But hey, we still got 18 laps to go. A lot can change between now and the end of this race as the 15 is pulling up to the back bumper of the 2. Again, these guys, yes, they're technically scored 4th and 5th, but it will be the cycle over towards the race lead once the top 3 come and make their final pit stop.
Now it's a matter of how does Cameron Hearn want to make the pass on Weishart. He's trying everything he can right now. Weishart going to use the lap car for a little bit of help. Hearn not able to run the total top of the racetrack like he was making some passes earlier, but he's still going to get to that corner panel side draft, and there's your pass right there for the effective lead. Cameron Hearn now ahead of David Weishart. Still a pass for 4th position, waiting on the top 3 to make their pit stop to make it to the end of the race.
You see in front of them, they're actually catching the 49 of Alan Elwood. Another tough break for the 49 team, not able to put their race together all the way, got caught up in a little incident. I think there was some netcode involved with him in the 8 of Rafe Slate. Cost him a lot so far. It's already now getting passed by these 2, and he still has a pit stop yet to go as well. So Andrew Player in 2nd, Chris Seidenfaden in 1st, the 54. Those 2 guys also need to come down and make their last pit stop, as well as the 49. Other than that, though, our running order is as follows on the left side of your screen there. I think Theron might cycle around to the 3rd spot, and that's another solid and quiet night for him, but he's getting his way towards the front of the field week in and week out, it seems. But the laps that Chris Seidenfaden is leading essentially could help maybe get him close to that most laps led on the night. I don't know. He's at 9 right now. I believe we've had a bunch of different players at the front of the field. Cameron Hearn has led 16. He went to David Weishart's here. He's at 20. So I don't think Seidenfaden will be able to top the 20 of Weishart, and definitely won't be able to top the 25 of Alan Elwood. So it's going to be a tight one for the most laps led tonight, but maybe the 49 has that to fall back on it at least. Extra bonus point.
Yeah, we'll see how these last 15 laps play out, and if we even see a late race yellow. Something we saw in the truck series last night was quite a few yellows, but they were able to get a nice stint to the end here on the REI Racing League channel on Twitch. You get to see Nicholas Trader make a late pass. Maybe David Weishart can try to channel that and save a little bit of those tires to go back up and challenge Cameron Hearn. Shane Theron there making a pass. Here comes Chris Seidenfaden for pit road, and he's going to give up the lead to Andrew Player. If Player is choosing to stay out, he is.
Look, for a second he was coming down pit road. I couldn't quite tell, but he was just running the bottom side of the racetrack. But he'll cycle to the lead for at least that lap, potentially his first lap led. I know Harold's got his graphic he could show us here. If that is his first lap led, which it is, I mean, that's a bonus point. So that alone is worth at least one position on the racetrack. So we'll see if he decides to come back in now, this time in that McConey setup shop Ford Mustang. So he's the leader right now, and that's that bonus point could really, really pay off. We've talked about it since the top of the show tonight. Every single point's going to matter, whether you realize it at the time or not. When it gets down to the playoffs and who's making it in and who's not, those points are going to matter a lot, and you're going to want each and every one of them. And here comes the 13 now for his pit stop.
Yeah, you can kind of tell how the speed he carried through 3 and 4 that it was finally time to give it up. Looks like Alan Elwood also on pit road, so that cycles everyone through. Cameron Hearn is going to cycle through to the lead. No, he's not. Look at this. Oh, no, excuse me. iRacing timing and scoring has me messed up. I'm looking over here at my actual scoring. Now I'm right. Cameron Hearn's the lead. David Weishart in second. I thought for a moment that Seidenfaden would have thought about 2 tires. I was hoping that he would have been rolling the dice for 2 tires, but it looks like, alas, he was not. Neither did Player. So these guys opting to get 4 tires to the end of the race. Kind of hoping for a late race yellow at this point to cycle back toward the front and have the guys in front of them pit and maybe flip their track position. Not something you want to totally hinge on as a driver. I mean, Lady Luck can be wonderful and love you, and then all of a sudden break your heart sometimes. So these guys, they're going to be hoping for that late race yellow. Jacob, I don't see it happening. Well, there is quite a bit of action here for 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th with Ryan Honeycutt and Springer. Garrett Grant finally working his way toward the top 5. They're all running nose to tail with a little bit of buffer between each other, but they're pretty much the closest guys on track for a battle.
A cool shot kind of zooming out there. Still, like you mentioned, those are the closest guys for a battle, but they're still kind of spread out even amongst themselves. So not a lot of action in terms of side-by-side racing or people on top of each other for position. So it'll be tough to see a yellow flag come out if it does. I think I don't even see anybody side by side throughout the whole field. I'm trying to find it as well. There you see Chris Seidenfaden, though. He did cycle out 14th right now, 16 seconds behind the leader. We'll see if the fresh tires can kind of allow him to cut his way through the field, though. That might be a fun thing to watch as he gets around the 33 there of Brian Dixon. That is a pass for position. It's going to move the 54 up to 13th, and now he's getting around the 28 as well as Chris Bouchard, which will move him up to 12th. So a lot of positions out there for the 54 to try to gain.
Bouchard nursing a little bit of a wounded car from that early race incident. We pick up a battle here between Shane Wolf in the 83 and the 19 of Rick Christensen going after him. These guys both pitted about 20 laps ago at this point, so they're just looking to, Christensen 20 laps ago. Shane Wolf only 12 laps ago. So Shane Wolf pull away here. He's got his sights set on the next driver up the road, Kyle Sieg in that 39.
A quiet night for our driver in the 39 there, Kyle Sieg. Haven't heard a lot from him. A few close calls with a lot of these incidents that have been going on. It's kind of funny the way the wrecks have worked out tonight and the cautions have not really been towards the back of the field. They've been right around 5th, 4th, 6th all night long, and that's kind of seems where the chaos is breaking loose. See Chris Seidenfaden, though, obviously one of the quickest cars on the track right now. He's trying to get every point he can and work his way back up into the top 10. Real battle up front, almost a 3-second advantage now for Cameron Hearn. Then Shane Theron's going to be the 3rd place car with Ryan Honeycutt and Ricky Springer rounding out our top 5 there. You see the 51 car on your screen right now. See if Garrett Grant maybe potentially saved a little bit of his tires and can move up some from that 6th place spot that he's in. We talked about it earlier on in the show, one of the better guys in the series at saving tires, but not quite sure if we're going to get a chance to see too much of it now, as he's still got a 7.5 second gap to our race leader. There you see a battle for position forming up between Ryan Honeycutt and Ricky Springer for 4th.
And isn't it amazing that a caution way earlier in the race was able to make this play out. Split strategy between these guys, and it looks like the guys that chose to make the stop are gonna be the beneficiaries, because they absolutely, the guys that made the stop and had the pace, I should say, are gonna be the best beneficiaries. Someone like Cameron Hearn or Shane Theron that have already made that extra stop, and then the guys that decided to run along just could not catch that break so far with 8 laps remaining here. You see the 39 trying to fend off the driver who has much fresher tires in the 83 of Shane Wolf, going after Sieg here into turn 3. He's going to go to the bottom, try to make this pass stick for, I believe that is 8th place.
You can tell these drivers are really driving hard right now. It's one of the only tracks I feel like where you can actually hear some of the tire squealing going on when these guys are going in and out of the corners. If you listen closely, it's kind of sounds almost like there's a car spinning, but look at the Garrett Grant machine now working the top side of Ryan Honeycutt. This will be a battle for the final spot inside the top 5, and once these guys get side by side, it might bring along the 83 and the 39.
There goes Grant to the outside of the number 59 machine of Ryan Honeycutt. And
clear him.
Watch that white, black, and orange car just sitting there behind Shane Wolf. Kyle Sieg, he's going to try to capitalize on the 59 getting side by side. He and the 59 have kind of been battling this entire last run, hitting around the same time as each other, whereas Shane Wolf on fresher tires is just working his way through the field. Garrett Grant finally showing that long run pace that you talked about, now and in the top 5.
All I can think about is when we were looking at our playoff picture earlier, number 5 right there of Garrett Grant, he was 12th. He was the bubble car, and the guy who was 13th, 1 point behind him, was the 39 of Kyle Sieg a few positions back. You can see just how close this field really is when you look at the point standings and all throughout our field. Looks like we actually got a battle forming up for second. Shane Theron in the 38 was able to take it away from David Weishart. Still going at it, it looks like side by side as they work down to the start finish line. Weishart's going to throw a little bit of a block on. These guys are racing hard for second. Camera on that real quick here for you. You see somebody clipping the grass down the front straightaway. There you go.
Theron is
number 2.
He's gonna work the top here, or at least work the second lane. He's trying to get that nose, just a little bit of clean air out from behind the dirty wake of the 2 car. Here he goes. He's finally gonna pull left, make this pass. He should be sliding him through turn 3, I would imagine, here for Theron. Weishart is gonna give him everything he's got. I just don't know if it's gonna be enough on some slightly older tires than Theron to hang on. Saw the tire difference of about 5 laps between Weishart and Hearn. Give Hearn a huge pace advantage, and Theron has 4 laps fresher tires here than Weishart. So a little later in the run, Weishart might be able to hang on a little more. We got contact back here, the 8th spot as well, between Sieg and Honeycutt.
Oh, a lot of battling going on here later in the red. Didn't expect to see that, but with all the different tire strategies that we documented, you know, eventually some of those guys who had pitted, their tires start coming in, and a lot of those guys who had been on a longer strategy, their tires start falling off. And look right behind that battle we were just looking at. It's the 54 Chris Seidefiden now, who's worked his way up to the back bumper of those guys. He's actually going to make the move towards the bottom of Ryan Honeycutt, entering turn 3 and 4.
I said that I didn't like the 4-tire call because it put him so far back and out of track position, but he's really done a good job of gaining it back. 3 laps to go as they cross the line here. And Seidenfaden's regaining some of those points that he just lost from hitting and running that previous stint so long. I just don't know that he's going to have enough time to really capitalize more than maybe 5th place as he gets to the back bumper of Grant with a lapper up there on the top.
We're racing really hard outside this top 3 right now. Ricky Springer, you see the pink car there in the middle of your screen, has been going at it with James Shanewolf these last few laps, and it's allowed the 5 of Garrett Grant and the 54 that we just documented to catch right up to him. I don't think they're going to be happy with each other giving up these positions later on in the race either. I'm sure there'll be some frustrations that might carry over.
Hit
3 wide out of 4.
2 to go, and these guys are 3 wide, and Seidenfaden is just going to absolutely make a wild move going down here into turn 1 on the bottom of 3 wide, freshest tires of them all. He's going to drive right on by both the 51 of Springer and the 5 of Grant. He's almost side by side with the 83 of Shane Wolf through turn 2 there.
Now it looks like it's kind of settled out with the fresher tires at the front of the pack and the older tires now towards the back. Alan Balancino back there working his way the mix, but up front it's going to be Cameron Hearn with a large advantage working down to the start finish line. He's going to take the white flag here tonight in the Lodgebox Series race from Auto Club. And to go here, presented by One to Go Studios. Hearn, the dominant car here later on in the stages of this one. He had a bad qualifying effort, Eric, but he rebounded quite well.
And what a way to kick off the Lodgebox Series for him. He's absolutely... I mean, Daytona, it's always a toss-up, right? It's one of those wild card type of races, but he absolutely took the field to school at Homestead last time out, and now tonight, playing it just right, playing the strategy great. Returns 3 and 4. Here comes Cameron Hearn to take his second victory through 3 races of the season and absolutely dominate here at Auto Club.
Cameron Hearn gets the victory. Number 2, second straight week. They're battling hard here off of turn 4
the
between
wall.
the 51 and the 5, chasing them down to the stripe.
And the grass goes Garrett Grant. He got a bump going through turn 3. I don't know if we'll be able to catch that on replay, but that was what a wild finish from those 3.
Front though, Cameron Hearn. Another second straight victory. Here was the last lap between the 5 and the 51. I mean, these guys were going at it, like I said, all race really, or towards the later end of this race. I knew there would be some frustrations that carried over just because of how hard these guys were racing each other.
Got to get every single point they can get. You see Seidenfaden finally make the move on the 83 there through turn 2, and that would promote him to his 5th place finishing spot. Or no, I'm sorry, Shane Wolf is going to hang on here for that 5th place finishing spot. Springer is going to send Grant. I saw this in watching my sim while we called Cameron Hearn home. Springer absolutely bumping, running Garrett Grant all the way out, using him up. And that's going to give Springer that 6th place finish, and Grant with a wild drive ends up losing another spot there to Sieg.
Wild. But up front, how about Cameron Hearn now? Burning it down on the front straightaway. We get a chance to talk to these guys and our top 3 finishers. The donuts being laid out for the 2nd straight week for Cameron Hearn. Another victory here tonight, and we'll get a chance to chat with him as well as our 2nd place finisher, Shane Theron, once again. Then, of course, the 3rd place finisher, David Weishart, is Cameron Hearn. He's going to back it into victory lane for us and give us a nice shot to look at here. Getting that machine parked, we'll go ahead and grab 1st place finisher. We'll go ahead and grab Cameron Hearn first so we can get a chance to chat with the winner and bring him up. Move him up in here to the lobby. Cameron Hearn, our winner here tonight at Auto Club, man. You got a copy?
I got you, man.
Straight week. You go back to back. I got your buddy Eric up here in the booth with us. I'll give him a chance to ask you a couple questions, but started all the way back in 18th, man, and really had to fight your way to the front.
Yeah, it's I hate these type of tracks usually. Usually someone like Alan. It was, Alan was really fast tonight before he got caught up in someone else's stuff, I believe. But these are the tracks I kind of struggle at, and sometimes I overdrive the car. And at this track, if you overdrive it a little bit, you can lose a lot. And I did that on both corners in qualifying, and then beginning of the race, it was crazy. The whole field I felt like was within 2 seconds of each other, and I took it easy, and I kind of learned a little bit of where other guys were letting off the throttle and getting back on and how they're running the line. So I learned a lot being back in the back, and just kind of got lucky with the tire strategy. If a caution would have came out with 10 and 15 to go, I wouldn't have won. David was fast, Alan was fast, Shane coming home second was awesome. But the BRA crew was fast tonight. That's one of the good things about being on the fast team. We communicate and talk about strategy and what to do and what not to do, and it worked for me. Kind of got us put back in the field. Alan got caught up in some stuff, so it didn't work out for him. But it could have easily, caution came out, we wouldn't be here where we are. So just glad it worked out for us.
Cameron, I was going to ask you, what prompted you to flip your strategy there, get off sequence with everybody else? We saw you pit with your teammate Alan. A couple other guys that behind you came. Someone like Seidenfaden decided to run it the whole way out. What caused you to make that first pit stop? And then secondary, what caused you to pit so soon after David Weishart had to make his stop?
Honestly, the talent in the league and the amount of green flag laps we've ran compared to cautions, I felt like this track's a very wide track, and I just felt like the chance of a caution coming out was less than staying green. So I just kind of, if it had been some other leagues, I'm like, nope, I'm not pitting now. But with the talent we got and, how people race with respect most of the time, I felt like this was the best move to make. But it's one of those things that you said, you've gone either way. I know David was fast all night, and he came home third still, but I kind of took his chance of winning out.
All right. Well, as you look ahead to Las Vegas here, I'll get you in there in a moment, Harold. What excites you about the tracks that we've now run on? Homestead 1.5 miles, but the oval shape, Auto Club, the D-shape oval. Now we finally get to a tri-oval with Las Vegas, also another 1.5 miles. What is so different to those compared to the first race at Daytona that just makes you so fast out here tonight?
Yeah, I mean, uh, the tracks we ran, even though they might be similar in size, like you said, they're whole different shape and different banking. I love Las Vegas because typically there's more brake and throttle input involved, and I'm looking forward to that. You know, in old tires, if it's tight or loose, depending on the temperature. I'm just looking forward to that. And Daytona didn't. Samson had a great strategy. They won that race. But us, VRA, I feel like we've been strong. Allen hadn't had to finish his show for it, but he's going to have his. No doubt in my mind, he's going to get a win this season and stuff. So I'm just looking forward, build on the team goals.
Cameron, again, man, congratulations. I'm sure we'll see you here again one other time this season, whether it's in the Lodgebox series or the Sim Speed Shop Cup series on Thursday nights. Shout outs you want to give before we let you go?
Yeah, man, I don't think, all the guys in the booth, you guys in the broadcast, like I said last week, you guys do an awesome job. And it's just cool to kind of go back and watch this. Like I said, I got people already texting me how great it looks. And big shout out to Shane coming home second. Shout out to Alan being fast all night. But Northern Capital sponsoring the Truck Series, Lodgebox, Swift Lifestyles, and Sim Speed Shop. Those guys hopping on board for our first season. I feel like it's been a great season so far. And I appreciate those guys taking a chance on our first season. But I think we've kind of shown how much talent and great racing there is out here in this league. Shout mom and dad, my wife Ashley, and just all the guys that show up week in and week out. If there's guys watching out there, I think we still got some spots open and everything but the Truck Series. Sign up now. We have a point system. If you win, you're in. So come in and come race.
And what they would say that, Jake Cameron, are you starting to feel the target on your back now, man?
A little bit. This race was a little bit easier. I got my cast taken off my left hand, so I can actually drive with two hands. So it was that was pretty relaxing. But no, I feel like I'm fast, but a lot of things are falling my way, and I could easily, like I keep bringing up Allen, but I've been in his spot before where you're fast all race or most of the race, and something crazy happens and you don't get to finish the show for it. So it's a little bit of luck, some skill, but a lot of things have to work your way. And I'm just glad it seems like things are clicking, and hopefully they keep clicking the rest of the year. But hopefully I don't peak too soon. But time will tell.
Well, Cameron, we're gonna let you go here, man. Again, congratulations, and we'll see you back tomorrow night.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
It's Cameron Hearn, our race winner here tonight at Auto Club. Now we're getting a chance to meet with second place driver Shane Theron. Shane, it's Eric, Harold, and myself up here in the booth, man. You got a copy.
I got you.
Some run tonight. You kind of charged your way towards the front a little bit later in the run, so I know those tires were probably kicking in a lot better in for you later on in the race. But awesome second place, man. Kind of walk us through your night and your strategy decisions you made.
I don't know. I don't deserve a second place. I was not good tonight. I'm like a 13th place car, I think, but I just did what my teammates did. We pit because the league's been running green and took our tires, and we're like, all right, let's see if it works. And it paid off. I don't really know how I got here. I mean, I'll take it.
Obviously, it paid off is an understatement there. You're able to really drive through the field there at the end of the run and get up to that second place spot. But there's a lot of battling throughout most of the race with everybody outside of, the top, well, even inside the top five, really. But much of the field was kind of coming at each other, a lot of aggressive racing tonight. Is that something you expected here at Auto Club?
Oh, yeah, for sure. There's so much room here. You can race super aggressive. I wasn't expecting everyone to be so equal first like 15, 20 laps. You're all bunched up like it was a super speedway, and I could not pass, and that's kind of why I was stuck back there. So I don't know. This was a lot of fun. I wish there was more, grip on the bottom, but the cam had told me to move up a lane or half a lane up from the white line. That's really helped me in the long run. So yeah, it was fun. Good race.
Shane, that kind of leads into the question that I had for you was we saw you working the top side quite a bit tonight. Where did you feel like that really came from in terms of being landlocked? Like you said, it was so hard to pass tonight. We could kind of see that from up here, but how do you feel like the top really helped you roll around? Because you did move up quite a bit from your starting spot by the end of the race tonight.
Yeah, it seemed slower, but the car felt better. You could still keep the run off the corner, so it wasn't like super fast. It was just you weren't scrubbing as much speed coming off the corner. You also weren't getting as big of a run, so it just kind of I think it helped the tires. I don't really know. I'm not good at saving tires, but yeah, that seam, the first seam past the white line was where the run was after like 15 or so laps. So it paid off, and a lot of guys are still running the white line. So when I'd run there, I'd get the run on them off the corner. So it paid off. It was definitely the way to go. You have to do that to pass you, I guess.
Going to give Eric there another chance to add anything, but we're going to let you go here, man. Is there any sponsors you want to give a big thank you to?
Yeah, I'm gonna thank GRA guys. It's been fun joining them this year. The Cage, which is a local bar that sponsors me, still can't win in their scheme, so they've been giving me crap about it, but it's coming. And thank you guys for broadcasting. I have it up during the race. It was fun to watch.
Absolutely, man. Well, congrats on your second place finish, Shane Theron in the number 38. And then we got our third place finisher now, the number 2 of David Weishart, who almost was able to get the job done tonight. But David, place run is not something to hang your head over, but I know you really wanted that win.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that it had to come down to a pit call, but I felt like I had a winning car tonight. It's the best I think I've ever driven at Auto Club. I don't like these kind of tracks. The setup was pretty good, and yeah, just kind of hung there with Springer and Elwood there early, and we kind of checked out. And Elwood pitted a little early. It would have been interesting to see how those couple lap fresher tires would have played out over that run, but we caught that yellow, and I was just coming off pit road down the back, and the yellow came out, so I had fresh tires and was looking forward to it. I think we had another quick yellow, and that's when the strategy came into play. I said going down the back I was going to pit, and in the middle of 3 and 4 I changed it to I was going to do the opposite of the leaders, and because at Auto Club, I mean, we don't traditionally get a lot of yellows at Auto Club, but we had already had a couple pretty quick there, and I said we're bound for at least one more maybe, and we just weren't tonight. That's how the cookie crumbles sometimes, but it was a lot of fun out there, and glad to come home with a P3.
Is there anything tonight you think you'll be able to take over to tomorrow night's Cup race in the Sim Speed Shop Cup Series?
No. Nope, not at all. There's nothing. It's just those Cup cars are a completely different animal. The draft is king in those Cup cars, and tonight the draft was a little bit of an importance, but really just saving your tires tonight was important. But tomorrow night, it's just you got to stay in that draft. I mean, I've ran a lot of races at Auto Club in the Cup Series, and it's like a smaller super speedway. Everybody in a pack can't get away, so a lot of blocking gonna go on, and a lot of defending, and just making sure you stay in the draft and don't get any damage, because them Cup cars, one slight tap will ruin your night.
David, we saw tonight, Auto Club has its worn out, bumpy surface, right? And with it being pretty aged. But we saw how tires kind of played their factor tonight with the field, with how close everybody was. Even if you guys were losing over a second and a half at the end of the run, did you expect tire differences of 4 to 5 laps like they played out around you to be such a huge difference there coming toward the checkered?
Yeah, if it went green, I knew the couple lap different tires was going to make a pretty big difference. There's something about this tire model. Just a couple laps on your tires means so much, and I really wish they'd kind of fix it, honestly. It doesn't seem very realistic in my opinion, but don't hate the player, hate the game. They had the right strategy, and we'll move on from that. And but like I said, it was a lot of fun racing out there with a lot of guys, and a lot of guys I haven't raced with in a while on a non-super speedway track. So that was a lot of fun.
So this was your first start outside of Daytona. So the first start on an oval that wasn't a super speedway that we get to see out of you. Do you feel like Las Vegas coming up next week? Do we see you out at Las Vegas? And on top of that, does a 1.5-mile tri-oval cookie cutter style track kind of lend to the David Weishart here out in the Lodgebox series?
I don't know if I'll be here next week. It's kind of like on a week by week basis on whether or not I'm going to be here. I do like Vegas. I do like racing there. It's one of the few tracks that I actually can have speed and save tire at the same time. I'm usually one or the other. And that's one of the few tracks that I can do both. So I like it a lot. Hopefully I can race it, but we'll see.
Alrighty, David. Well, we'll hope to see you back. I know we'll see you back tomorrow night in the Sim Speed Shop Cup Series. But again, congrats on a 3rd place run, and we'll let you go here. Is there any quick sponsors you want to thank before we send you back down?
Yeah, I just want to thank Lodgebox for sponsoring the series, coming on board, and first season of this deal, and Sim Speed Shop for letting me put their logo on the car, and y'all for broadcasting, and Jacob, you for putting this whole deal together. It's been a lot of fun, and there's a lot of good things to come. And yeah, thank all my associate teammates over there at Samson. We all work pretty well together, and yeah, looking forward to tomorrow.
Man, well, we'll see you back tomorrow night. Your 3rd place finisher tonight, the number 2 of David Weishart. Eric, that was quite the race tonight. We saw with a lot of different things, both good and bad. But overall, I'd say the recap, it was a fun one.
Yeah, this race kind of threw us everything, right? We had the caution-filled section of the race. We had the long green flag runs, some green flag pit stops there, getting your cycle through. Cameron Hearn ended up being the right strategy at the right time, right? And he was able to capitalize on it. And then Shane following him through a little bit behind for that 2nd place finish. We get to look at our Elwood Designs race recap here. Cameron Hearn leading 29 laps en route to his 2nd victory of the season in the Lodgebox series. 2 cautions only out tonight for 6 laps, but those cautions played a big role, Jacob. We saw strategies flip quite a bit.
So it's going to be something to watch for tomorrow night in the Sim Speed Shop Cup Series. You guys can be sure to join us right back here on this Twitch channel at 8:40 p.m. Eastern is when we will go live for coverage of tomorrow night's race. Look at our top 10 for the Lodgebox Series tonight. Cameron Hearn, of course, our winner with Shane Theron, David Weishart, James Shanewolf, and Chris Seidefeiden rounding out the top 5.
Ricky Springer starting on pole tonight, running a special scheme. Didn't quite get to finish it off, finishing 6th tonight. Kyle Sieg sitting there in 7th. Garrett Grant, such a long run specialist, only managed to get himself back to 8th, 10 seconds off the lead for Alan Balacino in 9th. Ryan Honeycutt rounding out your top 10.
On to 11th, it was the 64 of Ed Robertson with Rick Christensen following suit. Brian Dixon comes home 13th with Andrew Player finishing 14th, and finishing in the 15th spot is Chris Bouchard.
16th, the 3 of Kevin Haas. Dean Gagliano. There we go.
Yep.
Gagliano. Yeah, I almost gagged myself on the freaking last name. In the 34, coming home 17th. Eric Schugart had some bright spots tonight, just couldn't quite break through there in 18th. The 8 of Rolf Slate was so fast tonight, but getting caught up in that netcode incident, finishes 19th, and he got caught up with the guy who finished right behind him. The 49 of Alan Elwood showed a lot of pace tonight, was a front runner, top 3 car most of the night, just couldn't quite get it done there at the end.
And rounding out the finishing results here tonight, Michael Larch comes home 21st. Nicholas Schrader, after winning last night in the Northern Capital Truck Series, he'll come home 22nd tonight. Justin Lemke, Dean Prince, and Connor O'Kresick will round out our 25 drivers that we had run tonight here at Auto Club. And this was the Lodgebox Series, of course. So we're looking forward to tomorrow night's race in the Sim Speed Shop Cup Series. Be sure to join us back right here on this Twitch channel for everybody viewing. I want to say a big shout out to all of our subscribers, especially for checking out this Twitch channel and checking out this stream. It was awesome having you up in the booth tonight, man.
Yeah, Jacob, thank you for bringing me up here. I got to see this Lodgebox series and the Xfinity cars from a different point of view finally tonight. Been watching these guys, and a couple takeaways we can definitely utilize tomorrow night in the Cup Series. Make sure you come out here to the REI Racing channel. Same bad time, same bad place right here at 8:45. Look for the broadcast to go live there for our Sim Speed Shop Cup Series race from the same great place, Auto Club. Such a great track. I'm looking forward to it tomorrow night.
Absolutely. And for our producer, Harold Darner, who does an awesome job each and every night, and for Eric Wineland and myself, I appreciate everybody checking us out, and we'll see you back tomorrow night.
What an exciting race brought to you by One to Go Studios. Here they come out of turn 4 to the white flag, and it's 1 to go. Thank you to all our sponsors, drivers, and viewers. We'll see you at the next turn.